Hi, my name is Tom Collins, and I would like to begin by asking you guys a question. How many people here like getting shots or injections? Too many, no. What about having to receive one every time you want to eat? That stinks too. Well, for people with type 1 diabetes, this fear and sometimes discomfort is a reality. Every time they want to eat, they have to perform a certain ritual in order to stay healthy like everyone else. When most people hear diabetes, they think of a disease that people have when they overeat or they're obese or generally don't take care of themselves. Well, I'm here to tell you that they may be true for type 2, but for type 1, that's not necessarily true. And about 5 to 10% of all cases of diabetes are only type 1, according to Dr. Dennis Damon of Science Direct. Most of you are probably wondering why I chose this as my topic. Well, my sister, brother, and uncle all have type 1 diabetes. So when I was younger, it was something I had to witness every day of my life. And I just was so used to it, I thought everyone else had to do this certain kind of things when they eat. And I had asked my mom, why didn't I have to get shots every time I ate? It was really confusing me. So that's why I chose this topic to research. For some, this may be uncomforting and hard to accept, but we'll look at more about diabetes in a minute. The purpose of this speech is to inform you about some of the principles and details of diabetes. First, we will discuss what actually is diabetes, the difference between type 1 and type 2, and how to live and thrive when you have diabetes. From this, I hope you have a better understanding of this disease and appreciation for the people who have it. First, type 1 diabetes goes by many names. According to Public Med Health of the U.S. National Library of Medicine, it can be called type 1 diabetes, insulin-dependent diabetes, juvenile onset diabetes, or just diabetes type 1. It is defined as a lifelong chronic disease in which high levels of blood glucose or sugar are in the blood. Insulin-producing cells called beta cells in the pancreas no longer produce the insulin. Insulin is a hormone produced by the beta cells in the pancreas. They regulate the blood sugar in the blood, and they allow the sugar to be absorbed by other cells around the body. Without the insulin controlling the amount of blood sugar, it would be very damaging to your body. The reason the beta cells are not producing insulin is that the body's own immune system is attacking them. This is why diabetes type 1 is called an autoimmune disease. Auto meaning self, and immune meaning the body's own immune response. Now that we know more, let's look at the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Diabetes carries a very negative stigma, as previously discussed. For type 2, it is the result of people being very unhealthy, not taking care of their bodies, and not working out. For type 1, however, it is genetic and inherited. For people who have type 1, it is called juvenile because it appears usually before they're 20 years of age. For example, my sister was diagnosed at 13, but my brother was diagnosed at 22 this past summer. For people who have type 2, this can happen at any time. People with type 2 have acquired an imbalance in their body due to lack of healthy eating. Pills can be taken to help control this, and usually shots and injections are not needed. It is considered the lesser of the two evils, because it is easier to control and maintain. The last point is how to live and take care of oneself while having diabetes. People should eat at the same time every day in order to help control this, and food should stay relatively the same thing. A regular, well-balanced diet suggested by the American Diabetes Association that you or I would eat is also recommended. However, according to the American Dietetic Association, a diet consisting in low in carbohydrates and little to no sugary foods at all is required. Regular exercise is also a very large part of being a diabetic. People who have diabetes should exercise on a daily basis in order to help maintain their sugar levels. However, when you're a diabetic, exercising can be very like a double-edged sword because you need to take your blood sugars before and after, as it can cause an unhealthy spike in blood sugar levels. An average blood sugar level range should be between 70 and 120. The certain ritual that people who have diabetes need to perform before they eat is they need to prick their finger using a machine. Like if anyone has had their blood drawn, you know what this is like. You put it into a certain machine called a lancet, and this will produce a blood sugar reading. The blood sugar reading will determine on how much insulin the person needs to inject themselves with. And this will help balance out the amount of blood sugar in the blood. I've seen my siblings do this many times, and it's obviously not something I'd like to do. In conclusion, type 1 diabetes is a lifelong disease that is caused by an autoimmune response in the body, in which no insulin is produced. Type 1 and type 2 differ in that type 1 is genetic inherited, while type 2 is acquired through unhealthy lifestyle. Although it is a life-changing disease, people who have type 1 diabetes can survive and thrive doing it. My brother, sister, and uncle